Flask and Stubb discuss what Ahab could possibly want with a right whale's head.
"I wonder what the old man wants with this lump of foul lard,"
said Stubb, not without some disgust at the thought of having to do with so ignoble a leviathan.
"Wants with it?"
said Flask, coiling some spare line in the boat's bow.
"Did you never hear that the ship which both once had a sperm whale's head hoisted on her starboard side, and at the same time a right whale's on its larboard? Did you never hear, Stubb, that that ship can never afterwards capsize?" "Why not?" "I don't know, but I heard that gambage ghost of a Fedallah say so, and he seems to know all about ship's charms. But I sometimes think he'll charm the ship to no good at last. I don't half like that chap. Stubb, did you ever notice how that tusk of his is a sort of carved into a snake's head, Stubb?" "Sink him, I never look at him at all. But if I ever get a chance of a dark night, and he standing hard by the bulwarks and no one by, look down there, Flask,"
pointing into the sea with a peculiar motion of both hands.
Will I, Flask? I take that Fedallah to be the devil in disguise. Do you believe that cock and bull story about his having been stowed away on board ship? He's the devil, I say. The reason why you don't see his tail is because he's tucked it up out of sight. He carries it coiled away in his pocket, I guess. Blast him. Now that I think of it, he's always waiting oakum to stuff into the toes of his boots."
"He sleeps in his boots, don't he? He hasn't got any hammock, but I've seen him lay of nights in a coil of rigging."
"No doubt, and it's because of his cursed tail. He coils it down, do you see, in the eye of the rigging."
"What's the old man have so much to do with him for?"
"Striking up a swap or bargain, I suppose."
"Bargain? About what?"
"Why, do you see, the old man is hard bent after that white whale, and the devil there is trying to come around him and get him to swap away his silver watch or his soul or some of that sort. And then he'll surrender Moby Dick."
"Pooh, Stubb, you're skylarking. How can Fedallah do that?"
"I don't know, Flask, but the devil's a curious chap, and a wicked one, I tell ye. Why, they say as how he went a-sauntering into the old flagship once, switching his tail about devilish easy and gentlemanly like, and inquiring if the old governor was at home. Well, he was at home and asked the devil what he wanted. The devil switching his hooves up and says, 'I want John.' 'For what?' says the old governor. 'What business is that of yours?' says the devil, getting mad. 'I want to use him.' 'Take him,' says the governor, and by the Lord, Flask, if the devil didn't give John the Asiatic cholera before he got through with him, I'll eat this whale in one mouthful. But look sharp. Ain't you already there? Well then, pull ahead. Let's get the whale alongside."
"I think I remember such story as you were telling," said Flask, when at last the two boats were slowly advancing with their burden towards the ship. "But I can't remember where."
"3 Spaniards' adventure of those 3 bloody-minded soldiers. Do you read it, Flask? I guess ye did."
"No, I never saw such a book. Heard of it, though, but now tell me, Stubb, do you suppose that the devil you was speaking of just now was the same you say is on board the Pequod?"
Am I the same man that helped kill this whale? Doesn't the devil live forever? Who ever heard that the devil was dead? Did you ever see any person a-wearing mourning for the devil? And if the devil has a latchkey to get into the admiral's cabin, don't you suppose he can crawl into a porthole? Tell me that, Mr. Flask."
"How old do you suppose Fedallah is, Stubb?"
"Do you see that mainmast there?"
pointing to the ship.
"Well, that's the figure 1. Now take all the hoops in the Pequod, hold and string along in a row with what that mast stands for, and let 'em be arts. Do you see? Well, that wouldn't begin to be Fadala's age, nor all the Coopers in creation couldn't show hoops enough to make arts enough.
But see here, Stubb. I thought you a little boasted just now that you meant to give Fadala a sea toss if you got a good chance. Now, if he's so old as all those hoops of yours come to, and if he's going to live forever, what good will it do to pitch him overboard? Tell me that.
Give him a good ducking anyhow.
But he'd crawl back.
Duck him again and keep ducking him.
Suppose he should take it into his head to duck you, though. Yes, and drown you. What then?
I should like to see him try it. I'd give him such a pair of black eyes that he wouldn't dare show his face in the Admiral's cabin again for a long while, let alone down in the Orlop there, where he lives, and hereabouts on the upper decks where he sneaks so much. Damn the devil, Flask! So you suppose I'm afraid of the devil? Who's afraid of him except the old governor, who dares catch him and put him in double debrays, as he deserves, but lets him go on about kidnapping people, aye, and signed a bond with him that all the people the devil kidnaps, he'd roast for him. There's a governor.
Do you suppose Fadala wants to kidnap Captain Ahab?
Do I suppose it? You'll know it before long, Flask, but I'm going to now keep a sharp lookout on him. And if I see anything very suspicious going on, I'll just take him by the nape of the neck and say, "Look here, Beelzebub, you don't do it." And if he makes any fuss, by the Lord, I'll grab into his pocket for his tail, take it to the capstan, and give him such a wrenching and heaving that his tail will come off short at the stump. Do you see? And then I rather guess when he finds himself docked in that queer fashion, he'll sneak off without the poor satisfaction of feeling his tail between his legs.
And what will you do with the tail, Stubb?
Do with it? Sell it for an ox whip when we get home. What else?